what I think about the election is, like I always thought before, there's a George Bush on the south, and there's a George Bush on the north. Going back to the States and kiss George Bush bum again? Naughty, naughty. I prefer maybe the Liberals or the NDP combine together and kick the guy out of the seat. Make sure he goes, ouch.
So how do you think we're going to survive in this neighborhood? How do you think that election is going to impact this neighborhood?
Well, like I always say, the poor will be poorer and the rich will be richer.
Think of the election results.
It didn't surprise me. I figured it was going to be a minority government. It was a minority government, and that, relatively speaking, I prefer a minority government to a majority government anyway.
And why would you prefer a minority government?
Because then no one party has all the power. That's where the problems start.
And how do you think that government and the fact we moved from an NDP to Liberal in this riding is going to change anything?
Okay, first of all, both the Liberals and the NDP aren't conservatives, so like in terms of any strategic vote thing, in this riding, that's meaningless. The Conservatives never get elected in Parkdale anyway, so whether it's a Liberal or an NDP doesn't change the Conservative government status, so it wouldn't make any difference. Furthermore, on a personal note, I've actually met Peggy Nash before, this was 2 elections ago, so I was quite happy to see her go down for personal reasons. I brought up an issue with her 2 elections ago. That's when she lost to Sarmita Bolte. That's when Mr. Martin won a minority.
Right.
And I asked her a question that obviously all of the politicians and all of the right and proper people feel is totally unimportant and insignificant. It's an issue that I and maybe 3 or 4 million other Canadians feel is significant. There's only about 3 or 4 million of us. I smoke a plant, it's called marijuana. For that I'm called criminal and I'm threatened with arrest and possible imprisonment. Minor, little, oh, that's okay. You can call 3 to 4 million people criminals for smoking a joint. Perfectly reasonable. Unfortunately, me and the other 3 to 4 million of us, I don't know, we've got a chip on our shoulder. We don't like being called criminals. We don't like being threatened with arrest and possible imprisonment in a supposedly free and democratic society. So I asked Peggy Nash about that 2 elections ago. Her answer was, quote, I don't know my party's policy position. So I asked her, I actually told her I was going to be voting for her, which I was at the time. So I said, well, if you don't know your party's policy position, what do you think of the issue? You've got the option of call us criminals, totally legalize it, or decriminalize it where maybe we just pay a fine. Given those 3 options, Ms. Nash, what do you think? She turned to me, or was facing me, and she said, I just told you, I don't know the party policy. And she turned her back and walked away from me. The point being that to someone like Peggy Nash, one of the elites, in this case of the NDP, there's elites in the Liberal Party, there's elites in the Conservative Party. That's not an issue of importance. It doesn't matter. See, 3 to 4 million people being called criminals, not important. What's important, Peggy Nash will decide what's important for me. And I'm just a voter, so for me, what's important to me isn't important. So I felt, well, Ms. Nash doesn't feel what's important to me is important to her. She doesn't need my vote. I'm just a stupid, evil dope smoker. And apparently I should be arrested and thrown in prison for smoking a joint. And as far as she's concerned, not her problem. So, well, Peg, we're the voters. You know, if you'd actually addressed that issue, you might actually have won this election because there's literally tens of thousands of us in this rally. But have yourself a nice retirement.
So do you feel that on anything, a smaller issue as you put it, i.e.
being called a criminal and being threatened with arrest,
i.e. the marijuana struggle, there's other sort of small struggles that carry on in this neighborhood. Do you feel any of the 3 parties really address those kind of smaller issues that Canadians do ask about?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. However, they'll only address issues where they see an advantage for themselves. They don't address those issues because the people who are concerned about those issues, whatever they may be, have a concern. It's only when they, the politicians, see a political advantage.
What do you think of the election results with a Conservative minority government again and a Liberal in this riding?
Oh, I think it's going to fare much better right now with regards to property taxes and the government taxing us to death and actually Harper. I really focus on him and what he's done in a year or 2 years. He has damaged the city by raising property taxes, by raising gas prices, by raising the price of economy, just for Parkdale alone, just for the city altogether. Yeah, I don't like the work he did.
So what do you think the impact of the same minority government, only with Liberal leadership here, is going to do to this neighborhood?
Well, it'll probably get people to volunteer more. He might get out and about. He is a very central, focused person in Parkdale. I have seen him. I met him yesterday.
Oh, you're talking about Gerard?
Gerard.
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, I did meet him yesterday, and he seems very focused. He seems to be aware of the problems or setbacks in Parkdale. I'm sure he's willing to take steps to improve the city itself, and Parkdale as a whole community. Yeah. Whether regarding the safety of the neighborhood or job-oriented programs or regular volunteer programs for residents that live here. Yeah, he looks like a very positive person.
So you think that Gerard Kennedy is good for the neighborhood, but the Conservatives aren't good for the city? Is that?
Yeah, I don't think the Conservatives are very good for the city at all. I don't think they will help anything. They'll mess everything up at City Hall. In fact, they're going to mess us up right here. Right.